Wall Street, stocks getting off to a good start for the week. The Dow finishing up 76. The NASDAQ gaining 131. The S&P 500 added 17. I'm Tom Graham, and this is Fox News.
All right, we are live with the Kip Capley Show. Guys, take it away.
WDXE Talk Radio, Kip Capley and my friends. How are y'all doing?
Doing good, buddy. How
Doing
about
great.
you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Had a little hiatus. Been gone here, there, and everywhere. Appreciate y'all filling in for me, keeping the people informed.
We missed you.
Glad to be back.
I
missed
know.
y'all.
We didn't. You didn't get too many complaints, did you? Because I did put out both times that whatever me and Chris said, you probably agree with it, but just in case.
Hey, y'all entitled to your own opinion.
I know, but
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the shows. I think y'all did a good job.
all right. Well, we appreciate that. So anyway, starting us off, Chris, you had something you wanted to bring up, about the COVID. Let's talk a little bit about COVID. Yeah,
I thought we was going to talk about strikers for a minute.
Well, let's talk about strikers. I mean, look, if people that have the
Never works.
people that are on Facebook and YouTube, here we go, guys. Look at it. We got a whole bunch of strikers here.
Shadow Striker Steakhouse.
Oh yeah, Striker Steakhouse.
Well, Lawrence challenged me, and I've got a menu of strikers. I said, you got to give me something with your name on it where we can promote you, and we greatly appreciate Strikers Restaurant and the fine crew sponsoring this show. So here we go. We got the full menu.
Bam.
And just call WDXE for your order.
Call WDXE for your order. Striker Steakhouse.
Now, that's only if you're going to bring us something.
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, there we go. We got
listen.
You
something.
got to have stipulations. Which one do you want me to use?
Okay. Now, I'm sitting here laughing at Kip because he leans way back. I don't care which I don't care which one you use. You just got to... This one...
This'll work. I can do this.
I don't... Whatever.
You can do that. Well, or you can do like me. I'm leaning over
figure
here.
It out. It'll be all right.
But anyway, we want to give a shout out to Strikers. We greatly appreciate them sponsoring this show. And I want to tell you, they got some of the best sweet tea of any restaurant I've got sweet tea from in a long time. But Lawrence, you talked about the COVID, so we'll go with it.
Oh, we got the... What do we got here, Chris? We got the Strikers Trio, right? Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's what we got.
All right, Strikers
Trio.
Lawrence, COVID-19.
All right, there's an article in a paper that's put out, and it caught my eye, and it says the headlines: "What are embalmers encountering in the funeral home business?" And I just want to touch on it. Both Kip and I, and of course Lawrence was in attendance. We did a COVID seminar back. Tell me, Kip, it's been a while.
2022, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like January, February.
Yeah, it was like middle of...
No, it was January.
First part of the year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 22, I think.
Over in Pulaski, and we had Dr. Peter McCullough join us.
Yep.
And that's when I kicked Kip in rear end and got him to MC because I wanted people to get to know Kip and get it out there. But let's just talk about a few facts. A lot of people want to skirt around COVID. And I will say, I point my finger at both. It was a political gig. I point my finger at both Democrats and Republicans for the misnomers. And, I'm real upset that Dr. Fauci, I don't think he even deserves the title.
You mean Fauci.
Fauci.
Dr. Fauci.
Mm-hmm. Stayed in there under so many presidents. He should have been gone years ago.
Yeah.
But this is what this article says. They're really having trouble. They're saying around 40 to 60% of bodies embalmed have mysterious structures in them. And here's a brief description of the structures. They range in size from about the size of a thread to close of the thickness of a finger, and some are nearly 3 feet in length. And they're calling these white structures, and AKA blood clots. Mm-hmm. And it says the survey, they're surveying over 100 embalmers, and roughly 70% or 7 out of 10 are seeing these novel structures. And before 2021, they would find blood clots in about 15% of all bodies embalmed. And after 2021, they're finding blood clots in 85% of bodies being embalmed. Now that is amazing, guys.
That is, and I tell you, I have said from the very beginning that COVID was made for the vaccine. The vaccine wasn't made for COVID. And I also say this, and you know that it's controversial.
Uh-oh.
But this is my opinion.
Hold on, folks.
Yeah, hold on. This is my opinion. But I tell you why. If anybody would have took the vaccine, it would have been me. Because I lost 60% of my family within a 3-month period to COVID. Hospitals killed them. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah.
They went in and they came out in a wood box. Myself, and I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for Peter McCullough and a couple other people, I would have joined my dad, my uncle, and my first cousin. Because I had COVID so bad, I couldn't even leave my bedroom for 17 days. My oxygen levels, they would put you on oxygen and they would intubate you when your oxygen levels reached 88. I spent 10 straight days from oxygen levels, didn't even see 85. I would walk 15 feet to the bathroom, and I had to sit down on the toilet to go to pee because my oxygen levels would be all the way down to 50. So I just kept going, and I persevered through it. And my dad, I was the first one to get it. My dad, everybody was saying, you got to go to the hospital. You got to go to the hospital. And I'm like, you know what? The people I'm hearing and the people I'm listening to, they're telling you that the people are dying at the hospital, not at home. So if I'm going to die, I'm going to die where my family is.
I understand that.
Well, I want to go on to, since we talked about this and what Dr. Peter McCullough had said, there was, on an average, before COVID, 29 cardiac arrests per year in the sports league. Mm-hmm. They didn't break it out, NFL, soccer, NBA, NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. They said there were 29 cardiac arrests per year in the sports league. Since the vaccine, that number has spiked to 283 per year. That's about a 10-fold increase, guys. And it's really hard to fathom this. But they went on to say before the article closed out, and this article was written by a guy in Athens, Alabama.
Okay.
And by the name of John Horton. And it says, I do not know that this is the vaccine, but it needs to be explored since the vaccine came out in 2021.
Chris, tell everybody at home a little bit. I know the three of us know who Dr. Peter McCullough is, but just give a short little summary about who he is, work that how you know him, all that stuff, real quick, just for the people at home that don't know who he is and how y'all connected and all that stuff.
Well, we were connected through a lot of mutual friends, and Kip, you were involved. Yeah. At a length with meetings, some fine people. Yeah. One of the great guys over here is Matt Neswander. Yep. Dr. Matt Neswander. He's wonderful. Yep. They will tell you all day long about vitamin D, ivermectin, however you say it.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine.
That's right. What country, folks? So you don't have to give us a minute.
Hey, listen, that's one of them tongue twisters. Say that 3 times real fast.
That's just redneck in
us. But that's true. But anyway, I was introduced, and there was a lot of different people. And of course, I'd have to look back. Lee Howard is another doctor that I was involved with. And then we lost a great friend, that died from the COVID. Yep. And he, it's just sad that had moved here originally from Columbia, Missouri, but lived in Columbia, Tennessee. He did. And I'm sorry I have to stop and think, but I'll think of his name here in a little bit. But he was real big, and we put on seminars. We went to different areas doing these, and we did this one live in Pulaski. And it was just great. He's a cardiologist out of Texas, highly respected in his field. Yeah, he's world-renowned. You probably saw him on the Capitol, the steps of the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. I said the Capitol. He was around with several doctors, spoke with a lot of highfalutin folks that knew exactly about this COVID. and they were trying to push this remdesivir as the treatment, and when that was actually shutting people's kidneys down and killing them.
That's what I did with my dad.
And that's what it did with just about everybody
Oh, yeah.
who died had this remdesivir.
Right, and then they were intubated. It was kind of a two-folded thing, is for that. I mean, and it's sad, and we didn't know. And I remember when my dad got it, he got it like 2 months after I did. And I told my dad, I said, look, I said, it's going to be bad. I said, but just stay home. I'll take care of you. But you know what? And everybody's got to make their choice. You know, we're not telling anybody don't make their choice.
Sure.
You know, you got to make your choice. He chose to go to the hospital. And it took him 6 weeks to kill him. My dad was a strong man, no medicine. He's not like me. He wasn't fat. I mean, he was slim, good shape, and they did. And,
You know, the thing that's weird, I think a lot of people have forgotten about COVID, is that we went through a year and a half, if not longer, with just absolutely no information at all.
Right.
And the media was just scaring everybody to death. I mean, you'd look on TV and it was like, if you go outside,
You're going to
if you
get
go
it.
to Walmart without a mask, if you go to the, whatever, out in public without a mask, without gloves, without Lysol wipes, without all this other crap now that we know, you're going to die. I mean, they were peddling that non-stop. People were afraid to leave their houses. You had elderly people that declined mentally because they couldn't see their loved ones at nursing homes. And we didn't know anything. I mean, it was just flat nothing for a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, here comes the vaccine. And if you'll remember, too, in the beginning, they talked about for probably 4 or 5 months that we didn't know if we were even going to get a vaccine.
Right.
Y'all remember that?
Right.
They were like, oh, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to get one this quick. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, bam, we get a vaccine. And that became the savior.
Right, but again, typically vaccines take 6, 8, 10 years.
Yes.
To develop.
Now, was that warp speed under Trump?
That was warp speed under Trump.
Yeah,
And that's the thing, when we talk about, the vaccine, that's the reason I always say COVID was made for the vaccine. And I saw it from the very beginning because of COVID. And trust me, folks, what I'm about to say again, this is going to be controversial.
Hold on.
But I'm going to be biblical first.
Amen.
But the reason I did not take the vaccine is because everybody was saying, if you don't take the vaccine, you're not going to be able to go to Walmart. You're not going to be able to go to your job.
Come on.
And here in Revelations 13:17, it tells us that no man, rich or poor, free or slave, can buy or sell without the mark or his number or his name. And those with understanding know that the number is 666. Now, I say all that to say this. It is not the mark of the beast. Okay, we do not have the beast yet. And the reason
Not
we
the
don't,
mark of the beast. Not what
that's
it's
right.
saying.
That's right. It's not the mark of the beast, but it's a precursor. And it's getting people to do things that they normally would not do.
It created, for the first time, I think, in our country's history, it created a sheep-like mentality where everyone was so afraid and looking for answers, and that was the only thing you got. I mean, we went from having absolutely nothing to, here's your saving grace, you need to go get it now. Doesn't matter what you think, go get it. I had a real conversation with a family member of mine that his job forced him. He did not want it. He fought for months not to take it because he was young, healthy, didn't have any kind of problems going on, didn't smoke, nothing like that. But his job told him, if you don't get the vaccine, you're gone. You're done.
What about my body, my choice?
It's a good question.
I mean,
a good question.
we have my body, my choice.
It's a good question.
Do we get to pick and choose what my body, my choice is?
Apparently. Apparently so. Because
Is he okay?
Oh yeah, he's fine, but it's just to the point where he didn't want it. His job told him you either have to pick the vaccine
Right.
with your job, or we'll find somebody else.
Oh, and that's the reason I came back to
Well, right
Revelation
there.
13:17.
It's terrible. I
Right
mean, that
there.
is awful.
His constitutional rights were violated.
Just
Absolutely.
Like that.
And why people are not holding these employers accountable for a violation of their constitutional rights.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but I will tell you the government was very well. This was a test.
It was.
Yes.
You know, we were.
It's a precursor. It's a precursor.
President Trump was leaving.
Yep.
And then we got Sleepy Joe.
That's right. Foolish.
Or Basement Joe, whatever you want to call him. We got him,
Cocaine
and
hunter.
they kept pumping this one 4-letter word into Americans, the word fear.
Go.
Right.
Go.
And people just
Nonstop.
fell head over heels.
Yeah.
And, you know, last week we talked about being fearful. That is a major sin.
Well, it not only is a major sin, but when it talks about the people that are with the Satan and then everybody after Satan that is cast into the lake of fire, the very first one is the fearful.
Yeah.
And then after the fearful, it comes the adulterers and the effeminates and
Then the murders.
and the murderers and stuff.
And you see how quickly too it turned from kind of at the beginning, first couple months, it was, you know, you can kind of decide whether you want it or not. If you hadn't got it, maybe you got the antibodies, whatever. And then all of a sudden a switch flipped, and it was just this hateful group where if you didn't have the vaccine, you were called everything under the sun. People hated you. I mean, we saw it on TV. I mean, you weren't allowed in stores. They were calling people the god-awfulest names you could ever think of. And it just, it honestly created a separate class of people.
So let me ask
It
you.
really did.
Let me ask you this, and this goes down to because I didn't wear a mask either. Matter of fact, as soon as Walmart said you have to wear a mask to go into Walmart, the very next day I went into Walmart without a mask and walked around for 2 hours on purpose,
There you
just
go.
to see what would happen. Nothing
Preach
happened.
it. That's right.
But where is this? You know, again, I come down to my body, my choice. I want to use their logic
Sure,
against them.
of course.
So if the vaccine works, if the mask works, then why do you care if I wear a mask or a vaccine? Aren't you already protected? But you know what? It's
There you go.
not. And people deep down inside, people realize it. And I tell you why I knew people realize it. We're all men here, and when
Plus
we're
Charlotte.
when we're out, I mean, yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
But when we're out,
Yeah.
do you not, when you come up on a man, do you not look at him at least in the eye, just about every man?
Sure.
Now, I won't stare down a woman.
Yeah.
But if I see a man, I'm going to look at him. I'm going to size him up. I'm just going to see, you know, hey.
Give him like a hey, how you doing?
Right.
thing.
You know, if he looks at me, you know, I'm going to nod at him or smile or something.
How's it going? Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what I noticed. I did the same thing in Walmart with everybody wore a mask, and I would say 90% of the people turned their head. And you know what? That was shame.
Well, you know, the thing today, you know, guys, let's get down to the basics. It happened in our communities of
did.
Yes, it
Lawrenceburg,
did.
Columbia,
Everywhere.
Pulaski, Fayetteville, no matter. I went into, I was looking for some envelopes, window envelopes. I'll never forget this. And I went to Walmart. They didn't have any. I went to Dollar General. They didn't have any. So I thought, well, let me go into this Dollar Tree. And this was in Pulaski. And I opened the door, and the guy says, "Did you not see the sign? You got to have a mask on." I said, "Sir, I respect you. If you feel like you got to have a mask, you wear one. I'm not. You need to mind your business. I'll mind mine." Okay?
Right.
Now, today, it is ironic. You still see people with these darn masks
Yeah,
on.
and it's almost like we look at them like they're crazy
Well,
now.
I call them Democrats.
Yeah, well, yeah, most of them.
You know, most of them are
Most of 'em
Democrats.
are. Yeah.
You know, if you
Yeah,
think
you're-
about it.
yeah.
But what's so funny, you see them in their car. They're in their car by
by themselves.
By themselves.
And they got this darn mask on. But a lot of people, if you look at them, it became chin beards. Chin,
yeah.
you know, like a chin beard.
Yeah.
You know, they would put it down and wear it on their chin.
Like
Yeah,
a Levi
but
Yoda or something.
I don't want to get into me and my fights on not wearing a mask, but it got so bad I told people they wasn't Christians. They were not believers. They didn't believe in God. If he wanted to keep on forcing me, and this was in the medical field,
Right.
and I refused to wear a mask, and I had a doctor to cuss me like you've never been cussed before because I refused to wear a mask, and it's tough, but. There again, it's my constitutional right, my God-given constitutional rights, and what we're doing is letting people chip away.
Yeah.
It's like a big iceberg out there.
Right.
And I pick on the seatbelt law. It's an easy one.
Let's not go into that, please.
It's an easy one to pick on. But every time we let something chip,
God.
you know, it chips at our rights, just like a seatbelt.
Yeah.
That should be my choice.
Me
Well,
and
I'm going to tell you something. Kip and Clay is going to put up a seatbelt law where we don't have to have it anymore.
Me and Lawrence talked about this for like an hour.
I told him if he gets elected, I
didn't know you.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't believe in seatbelts.
Let's go back to COVID.
Yeah, we're going back. We're going to go down a rabbit hole.
We
you don't
talked
wanna go
about
to.
the seatbelt thing.
But I want to talk
He
to
didn't
you
know
about
that,
I'm
yeah.
going to talk to you about your doctor here that got onto you. I have a friend of mine. He's close to 80. And Stan, if you're listening, you're going to know who you are. But he has emphysema. And Stan refused to wear the mask. I mean, he's a Vietnam vet. I mean, he's a man's man, okay? And Stan, the doctor's like, you got to wear a mask. He says, no, I don't. I'm not wearing a mask. And he goes, well, you have to wear the mask. And Stan says, well, the mask doesn't work. He goes, yes, it does. And Stan says, well, tell me this. Why is it if I said my jeans are thicker than a mask, correct?
Here we go.
And the guy goes, yes, it is. And then Stan says, well, how is it that when I fart, I still smell it, my wife smells it?
There you go.
He goes, explain that to me. And the doctor didn't know what to say. He goes, there you go. I'm not wearing your stupid mask.
Stan, I think you and I play out of the same playbook, if you're listening, my friend. But, I use that analogy quite a bit. But I wasn't going to say it on the radio, but Lawrence.
I don't mind.
No holds barred, Kip.
That's part of it.
Charlotte.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Lord
I
have
mean,
mercy.
yeah.
But anyway,
know.
I just, just to close up on the COVID, it gets into where we talk about these different things where our constitutional rights have been chipped away like an iceberg. Like you're trying to bring down the iceberg, or you're trying to eat that elephant one bite at a time. Mm-hmm. Red flag laws, same thing.
Yes.
Here we go with our rights again. And our Second and 14th Amendment clearly gives us the rights to bear arms. And I don't know what in the world is wrong with our governor and some of the people he surrounds himself with or he's listening to.
Can I tell you what's wrong with him? I'm going to give you a real simple.
He was a no-show Saturday night.
That's
Kip.
what I was going to tell you. He was not there at the biggest
I didn't see
Republican
him.
event
I didn't say
of the year, and he was not there. So what does that tell you? I wonder, when's the Democrat one? We need to see if he shows up at the Democrat
I don't know. It's probably at Arby's or something. There's probably He'll show up. It's probably a small
But no,
venue.
he wasn't there, but they did have about a 4-minute video clip of him addressing and
Yeah, saying he
the
regretted not
crowd and
being
everything.
there.
But hey, listen, if you're real and you're really a Republican, and I talked about the squishy Republicans,
They're out there.
they're out there. They're in the governor's mansion. They're in the Senate. They're in the House.
Yeah.
They're in the SEC with me. There's a lot of squishy Republicans.
Real squishy.
And Kip, we're trying to educate everybody we can. There's 99 of you House members.
Yep.
We know 24 Democrats, 75 are Republicans. But out of that 75, you can only count about 24 or 25 that are true conservatives, like yourself, Clay Doggett, Todd Warner, Scott Serpicki. We're fortunate.
Kurt Haston. Yep.
And Kurt Haston, but he's just on the outer periphery of the listening area, but he can watch us. But we don't have a whole lot of Kips and Clays and Todds in the House. And it's the same way on the Senate side. It was proven when there was a vote of no confidence on Randy McNally and his pedophilia and everything that's gone on, his Saturday night skit. We've got 27 that are Republicans out of the 33.
27, folks.
27, only 7 gave a no vote of no confidence in Randy McNally. How shameful. And Saturday night, Kip, when both he and Cameron Sexton spoke, I said, don't clap for them. I'm that way. I don't believe in them. I think there needs to be replacement in the leadership in both the House and the Senate.
There you go.
I can deal with Cameron Sexton more so than Randy McNally because I don't think Cameron Sexton's come out and said that we need red flag laws. Now he hasn't spoke out like I feel like he should.
He made some comments during the dinner that was basically, we're not going to do that.
Well,
so, which was good, but
the biggest thing, if I ever had any problem with Cameron Sexton, was there was a bill back in 2021, I think, where it was going to allow family members, at least you have one family member that would go into the hospital room, with the other family member.
We tried to run that this year, me and
Todd Warner?
me and in the Senate, me and Pody. We're going to run that this year.
Good.
And we had a little, this past session we had a little snafu in some language, but I think we're going to run that next year. But
I know Cameron Sexton
going.
wouldn't let it come up for vote.
Well, Todd's the one that originally ran the bill.
And there was yes, that's correct. Todd had it 2 sessions ago, and then I ran it this past one, and I think we're going to try to do it again next year. There was something with the language. I don't know, but go ahead.
No. I mean, that's good. I would like to see that, because you know what? Frankly, I can tell you this. Even with me having COVID at my house and I couldn't think straight, I couldn't imagine trying to make a medical decision in a hospital, because I tell you, if it wasn't for my belief in Jesus Christ, I would have been scared out of my mind. I'm going to tell you something. Try not being able to breathe for like 17 straight days, and you will find out how important breathing is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was something.
It was a test run. I think don't want to go too far out there, but the whole country just gave up. We were just like, well, we're all gonna die. I guess we'll just figure it out. And then everybody was looking for answers, and then of course the government, which we've talked about the government a lot, gave us the answer, which was completely incorrect, and mandated things for us to do in such a short period of time that we didn't have a chance to adjust. And then culturally, you look at it and people act like you got leprosy hanging off your face if you ain't got a mask on.
So mandate, does that have anything to do with our Constitution?
I haven't seen it.
Have
y'all?
No, I haven't either. And I'm asking that obviously as a rhetorical question.
Yep. Yeah, I understand.
But I mean, you have this where you have to do these things. And it reminds me of, the government come in, they're telling you what to do. What did Ronald Reagan say about the government? The most scary words in the English language is, "I'm here with the government and I'm here to help."
We're here to help. Yeah.
So
766-9393 if you want to call in. Is that right, Charlotte? Did I say it right? 931-766-9393. We're at the 31-minute mark. We'll throw that out there. 931-766-9393. Shout out Strikers.
So, since we're on these types of subjects, has anybody ever thought about veganism? And, obviously we're not vegan. Now, we did have a potato, but our potatoes from Strikers, which was awesome.
Now, wait a minute. That potato did have real bacon bits.
That's what I'm saying. It was slobbered with
real
bacon.
Deal. Bacon and cheese.
And we had our shrimp, and then we had some kind of like a crab stuffed mushroom. So, but I want to talk a little bit about veganism. Now, I'm not going to the people that choose to eat veganism because they feel like it's a healthy lifestyle. I totally get it. I understand. Okay, I do. I get it. But the people that virtue signal, this is where I have a problem. The people that virtue signal and go, well, I'm eating vegan because I don't want to kill an animal. So you get your tofu, okay? Tofu comes from soybeans. Do you know how soybeans are harvested and what goes into the soybean? So if me and you, if we go eat a steak, one animal was killed, correct? For that steak.
Well, it depends on how big the steak is.
Well, I don't think we can eat that big of a steak, but generally, when we're going to get a bunch of steaks out of one animal.
One animal. That's correct. That's where it was going, because you can get a lot of meat out of one animal.
That's correct. But look at all the squirrels, the shrews, the rabbits, the bugs, and a lot of bugs are good. When they plow up the land and everything, you having all these animals that are killed and destroyed. And if they didn't kill enough by then they're going to take Monsanto and they're going to spray the heck out of it, and they're going to kill whatever else is not supposed to be there.
Yeah, they wipe everything out.
So do you realize how many animals are actually killed for somebody to get their soybeans?
By pesticides.
Or just killing off, because you can't have rabbits in there eating your beans. You can't have the squirrels. You can't have the shrews. You can't have these bugs. Of course, now we're starting to get to where we're virtue signaling. Well, we're going to feed you bugs, and you're going to like it.
Yeah, crickets.
Okay, and crickets and
that'd
stuff.
be good for you.
So
High in protein.
That's right.
high in protein. So I just, again, if you're eating vegetarian, if you're eating veganism because it is a truly lifestyle, because you feel like it's the healthiest thing for you, hey, I get it. But don't sit here and say the reason that I eat vegan or vegetarian is because I'm saving animals. That, if you need to go look that up, that is not true. You are killing a whole heck of a lot more animals than we are when we're eating meat.
Yeah. Oh,
To
yeah.
try to produce the product.
They're trying to
Yeah.
produce the product.
Oh, yeah.
And, that kind of brings us to CO2.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, hey guys, I have to get this off
Come
my
on.
chest.
Come on.
So, everybody hears about carbon and carbon credits. Does anybody know how plants produce oxygen?
From us, we breathe out carbon monoxide that the plants take in, and then the plants produce oxygen for us.
Right, and the more carbon that's out there, the more healthy the plants are, the bigger the plants are, the more oxygen they produce for us. So when these people are talking about we got to get rid of carbon, aren't these the same people that are flying around in jets telling us, or they're driving the great big SUVs? Of course, I'm guilty of that. Aren't these the same people? And isn't it kind of funny that we have climate, we have global warming, okay? And let's just go ahead. They're changing the name climate change, but let's call it what it is, global warming, because they keep talking about the seas are going to rise. Again, these are the same people that have beachfront houses. If they're really worried about the sea rising, would you buy a beachfront house?
No, sir.
Chris got oceanfront property in Arizona.
Well, according to them, we're going to have it one day.
Yeah.
Al Gore said it in 2000 in The Inconvenient Truth that within 10 years, we were going to flood so bad, we were going to lose 100 miles of the United States inland. Didn't happen, did it?
Hadn't happened yet.
And you know what? If you're really worried about your animals and everything else, what about sea life? If it was to raise 100 miles, wouldn't that give more for the sea life to enjoy?
Yeah, and the thing with all the products and everything else, the packaging and everything, keep it away from meat and other animals and pork, yada, yada, yada. We did something in college. I can't remember what the exact numbers were. I had to do a project. And it was like there's so much trash in the ocean right now that it would take every person in the United States would have to take 100,000 pickup trucks full of trash for like 5 or 10 years every day to get it all out of the ocean. That's how much trash is in it. It's a lot. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a huge number of how much trash is in the ocean. And, they add the packaging and everything else because they want to be good for the environment. As far as I'm concerned, beef's about as clean as you can get. I mean, we raise them out there, they eat, you bring them to the slaughterhouse, farm to table, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Deer's pretty good, too.
It is.
Think about that.
It is.
Oh, I love deer meat.
Wildlife, wild
Absolutely.
turkey,
Oh, my
just
gosh.
think about
That's
it.
about as clean as you're going to get.
But, you got to give Mr. Globalist, Mr. Environmentalist Al Gore a big shout out. He's the one that pumps a lot of this in, but buddy, he sure can fly everywhere.
Oh,
Him
yes.
and Tipper, everywhere in that jet.
So, this is God's honest truth.
Uh-oh.
January of 2000, maybe 2001, but it's either 2000 or 2001. I had to fly into New York City for work. And I flew in on the coldest day in New York in 130 years. Me from Florida, driving in, the only thing I had was a suit. I didn't pack a coat or anything else. It was the coldest day in 130 years. They had to, and the same day I flew into LaGuardia, they had to cancel Al Gore's global warming event that was being held because it was too cold. That is the God's honest truth.
That's what we call global cooling, right? Come on. And I said this on the first time that I was on the radio filling in for you, Cap. We've got to thank one Tennessean who gave Joe Biden his start in 1972 in politics, and that was Albert Gore Sr.
Wow. See, that's the year I was born.
Look what he did to us.
I know. See, that's the year I was
it.
born. 1972. I was born that year.
That's pitiful.
That was a good year. Other than that, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. What'd you think about the Statesman's Dinner? We talked a little bit about it.
I enjoyed it. Got to see a lot of my colleagues, my friends, obviously you and Clay Doggett and Crystal and everybody was there. I enjoyed it. I think DeSantis did good. I think the things that he said were, I'm trying to think on if there was anything that he said that I disagreed with. But he just didn't, there wasn't a big wow factor for me there. He was kind of just
generic.
Yeah, and he didn't have a whole lot of, it looked like he needed a Red Bull. And he just kind of was just talking like me and you were talking. And he's like, we don't need porn in schools. And we're all like,
Bingo.
Yeah,
Bingo.
for sure. Absolutely. But I think he did a good job. I think the party did a good job setting it up. It's 2,000 Republicans in a room. That's always a good time. A little disappointed that neither one of our senators were there. A little disappointed that the governor wasn't there.
U.S. senators.
U.S. senators.
U.S. senators.
U.S. Yes, not state. U.S. United States senators.
Speaking of Bill Haggerty and Marsha Blackburn.
Marsha were not there. Our whole congressional delegation, minus the one Democrat, was there. That was
all
impressive.
8 U.S.
Yeah.
congressmen
Yeah.
and Congress lady
Yeah.
were there.
And I kind of like, we actually interviewed Scott Desjardins on the radio, and he actually called in, and said, hey, I can come on for 20 minutes. I guess he found out about us through Becky Moon.
Yep.
Correct.
And,
Shout out Becky Moon.
and I'm going to tell you something. I've always liked him because he's had some controversies over the years. And I think it's because he is so conservative. And I can't think of a time he's voted where I have disagreed with him.
Big Trump guy.
He goes up there.
You
and
got that
votes.
right.
Big Trump guy.
He goes up there and he votes like I would personally vote. So I'm glad to have Scott Desjardins.
Well, let me ask you this question. How many men or women out there do you know that don't have a little dust in their closet?
Yeah.
All of us
That's
do.
true.
I mean, everybody has a little dust in their closet. And we're not talking about that powdered stuff that was found in the White House.
Hunter Biden's, by the way.
Let it snow,
Hunter,
baby.
Hunter Biden's, by the way.
Let it snow. It could have been Joe's because Joe goes around sniffing people.
He does.
Did y'all see, that's what I was going to bring up. Did y'all see this new video of him sniffing this child, this little girl? Man, I'm telling you, the guy has lost his marbles. It's like I said, we could ask him, how did Jesus meet his death? Was he crucified, A, or B, killed by the Indians? And I guess he would choose B, killed by the Indians, because it's the same letter his name starts with.
Yeah.
So y'all just think about it.
I tell you, if a man was to come and do what he did to one of my daughters, I'd punch him.
Yeah.
I know
sorry.
you would.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, that to me is, I don't care if you are the president of the United States. It doesn't matter.
I don't understand. That is the most secure house on the planet.
With all kinds of cameras,
They
by the
got
way.
more cameras in there than a televised program. They got more cameras in the Super Bowl. They got more Secret Service running around than we probably need. And nobody, and there's just a bag of cocaine in the White House, and nobody knows who it is.
Nobody knows who
Nobody
it is.
knows.
Do you really believe that?
No, it's 100% Hunter Biden.
Again, that's a rhetorical question. That's a rhetorical question.
He's coked out of his mind all the time. That's 100% his. The bookies have him at plus 120, so it's got to be his.
I mean,
Vegas has got him as the favorite.
all you got to do is just see a little bit.
Vegas has already got it booked?
Vegas has got him. Vegas has got Hunter Biden as the favorite at plus 120.
I'm going to tell you, all you got to do is look at just part of what was on his video. I mean, if that happened on our computer, we would be under the jail right now.
Oh,
The things that were on there.
Yeah, we would. Yeah.
It's crazy. You go back to Hillary Clinton and erasing her emails. If I'd been anybody else, I mean, think if I'd been a Republican.
Leaving them 13 boys over in Afghanistan to die.
That's Biden.
I mean,
that's on Biden's
there you
watch.
go.
Right.
No, Hillary was over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Benghazi.
Benghazi.
Okay, I'm thinking about
And
the,
she said, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah, what does it matter?
folks. If
die.
you don't
Yes.
really understand, grab one of us sometimes and talk with us. We'll show you the facts. I try to educate people all the time about the Republicans, and you know, a lot of people don't want to admit it, but Dr. Martin Luther King was a Republican. Now, history books are trying to reverse that, as we well know it, but he was a Republican, and he was a modern day person that was led by God.
But you know what? Here's the thing, and here it is in a nutshell. Even if you do stop us and ask us our opinion, and we're experts at our own opinion.
We are professionals.
Even if you don't agree with us, we're not going to hate you. We're not going to try to silence you because you have a difference of opinion.
Exactly right.
And people, you need to wake up, especially you Democrats. And you may be the ones throwing your shoe at the computer screen or something if you're watching, or you're banging on your radio right now. But I really want you to listen.
Color in their hair.
We are not going to take away, nor do we want to take away your freedom of speech, but everything is taken away as a freedom of speech on the other side if they disagree.
That's right.
I mean, I'm worried about this because we talked about COVID. I'm worried about this being taken down off of YouTube, frankly. But you know what? We have to speak the truth.
Got to.
People need to be educated, and they need to be told truthfully, just like the Bible lays it out. It's a perfect roadmap, the best book ever published.
Yes.
And the next best one is our U.S. Constitution.
Don't forget about our Tennessee state constitution, who Thomas Jefferson was it, that said it was the most perfect or the best of the constitutions of the states.
The least, what did he say?
Least imperfect.
The least imperfect of all.
Yes.
Pretty good.
That is pretty
That's
good.
pretty good.
That puts us up there at top. Like I said, Kip, we're finally ahead of Alabama in something. So we're finally ahead. We don't get to pick on our Alabama friends, Clay Doggett, but anyway, we'll give a shout out because he's a big Alabama guy.
He is. God love him. He can't help it. You know.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to have. He's got to have some faults.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, he does.
You know,
he does. And
that's
he can,
one.
You know,
That's one. Yeah,
we'll forgive him.
We can. Yeah, we forgive him. We forgive him.
I want to talk about the coming up on the 22nd and 23rd here in July. We are going to have a gun show at the Columbia.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at the Armory. Now, Kip, you remember going to that show, and the promoter actually lets you go in and let you campaign inside his show.
That was fantastic.
It was. And Ron Henderson, he does a great job. I mean, hey, any gun or any ammo you could want, you could get there, couldn't you?
Oh, Lord have mercy. It's packed to the gills. A lot of red-blooded Americans there. I'm sure if you walk around for a minute, you'll find a friend.
You will.
I mean, it's everybody's just as nice and kind, and like you said, they let me come in and campaign and pass out my cards, and I was well received. I feel like it was a really good show. I'm sure it'll be good again.
It was, and Ron says if you mention WDXE, if you mention the radio program, he's going to give you $1 off of admission to get in.
$1 off, folks.
So you can't beat that.
No, you can't. $1 off WDXE.
And he said anybody wants to call him, even they can call him about the show, and his name's Ron Henderson, Great American Promotions, and his number is 865-310-5427 is his number, and he said starts on Saturday at 9 and Sunday at 10 it starts.
And you're saying this is in Columbia?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
At the Armory. Yep.
At the Armory. Yep. Right off of 43. Yep. It's a great time. I have a blast.
It is a good time.
We'd love to be at everything, but we can't.
We can't.
That's right.
We're spread thin. We got people wanting us in Henry County on Saturday. The following Saturday, they're needing us in Wilson County. So it is something else. But let's get back to the August 21, Kip.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you heard anything from the governor? Has there been a call yet?
I ain't heard nothing.
As we said here today on July the 17th, a month and 4 days away, 34 days away, or maybe 35 because July's got 31 days. Still haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet with him on, let's see,
Oh, you got an invitation.
Thursday.
This Thursday.
This Thursday.
Coffee and donuts.
Going up to the big house.
No. They're gonna try to serve pork up there.
Yeah.
Pig and a poke.
No pork. You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But anyway, so you got the call to come up Thursday. You gonna let him know where you firmly stand, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You think Kip would back down off of that?
Uh-oh.
I don't think Kip will back down off of that. I got my faith and trust in him. So
no, we're gonna have a frank conversation.
And I tell you that's if you can take anything from me, just tell him that if he goes through with this, with everything that's happening, and people, we need to show up.
Got to show up
because the blue hairs, the pink hairs. They're going to show up, and we need to be in there this time. Kip shouldn't have to be yelled at, screamed at, cussed at, spit at, just to walk into a chamber.
I got part of it too, didn't I,
You
Kip?
did. Chris got a little bit of it.
I got a little bit of it too. It's like Kip. We talked about. Man, these people were screaming and hollering. They'd get up in your face.
Like a wild
you
animal.
could feel, and I smelt more bad breath that day than I've ever smelt in my life.
Colgate would have made a damn killing of it.
No, Scoble would have.
Excuse my French. Yeah. Lord.
But it was
I'm
something,
dead.
and people just, treating you. They were barbaric.
Yep.
They were
And
barbaric.
the troopers took, I don't know, the first day they told me they took a lot of knives and mace, and those folks
That's
wasn't-
Antifa.
They were not peaceful protesters. They were mobsters. They were coming there looking for trouble.
They had the bathrooms. They trapped a fella in the bathroom. A representative in the bathroom blocked the door so he couldn't get out. Troopers had to throw people off the doors. They were throwing bottles of water at us on the floor. I mean, it was just a whew.
It was a madhouse.
It
wasn't
was. It was. I mean, looking back on it now, it was kind of, entertaining, but whoa.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
Well, you ought to had to sit up there with them. And once they picked me out of the bunch, and another gentleman, well, there was two of us, three of us up there the first day of when all this started with Tennessee 3, and then the next day there was two of us, and they came around us, and of course, the troopers come and get us and protect us and get us out of there, because they become a mob, and they think they can do it's a no holds bar. But I can tell you what, our friends are going to be there on the 21st,
And we need y'all there.
we're going to be there. Everybody from all over the state's going to be there, and this is what I want you to take up to Bill Lee. From me, one. The conservatives are going to show up just like they showed up when they tried to get the state income tax.
Yep.
You're going to have two factions that on a hot August day that are going to be going head to head.
Yep.
The other thing is that I want to talk about, not too many people are talking about this, but I got to say it, even though it's not going to stop me from going. But we have 30,000 tons, I think, of ammonia nitrate that's gone missing. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm not saying that stuff like that can happen, but it's still missing. And I do know this: you're not going to get out of this unscathed.
Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt.
Somebody's going to get hurt, and you know what, Bill Lee, you're going to own this. It's all on you. Because if you've took it all the way out to August, and by the way, he's waiting until August, so all the students are in, so it'll save George Soros a little bit of money, from busing him into other states, okay? And that's another thing, Kip. You need to tell him that these people do not need to get into our capital unless they are Tennessee residents.
Yeah. We talked about that a little bit.
There's a good thing as close as we are, and a lot of great conservatives that we have on the border. There's some people that's willing to come from Alabama, North Alabama, to be with us.
Yeah.
Hello, you're live WDXE Radio, talking Tennessee with Kip Capley.
Hello, Mr. Capley. My name is Donna, and I have a question. What is the purpose of the special session that's coming up in August? And can you kind of give an insight as to, can there be a positive outcome with the special session that's going to come up?
Okay. Thank you for calling.
You might want to repeat her question just in case.
He got it.
Okay.
What's the purpose of the special session? And could there be a positive outcome? The purpose of the special session right now, according to the governor, which constitutionally he has, in our Constitution, he has the authority to call a special session whenever he chooses. His purpose, I guess, would be for what he calls public safety, or I guess what we all really know is a reaction to an unfortunate event that we had in Tennessee. Now, is there anything positive that could come out of the special session? I think there is. I think that we could certainly do some things for mental health. Our mental health costs have gone up across the state over the past 10 years. I think we've got 20 or 25%. You keyboard warriors at home can correct me on that. Calls have gone up 20 or 25% in the last 10 years, and our beds have gone down, I want to say 6,000. So our calls are going up, but our facilities are going down, so we don't have anywhere to put them. Now, I think there would be something worthwhile and increased, funding going toward mental health and bringing back maybe some of these facilities so we don't have such a constraint on our sheriffs and our jails and everything like that. So John Myers and Shane Fisher and Bucky Rowland and everybody else don't have to send a deputy all day to go to Bolivar and sit with them in a parking lot and, keep them away from Lawrence County or everywhere else. That would be a positive outcome. Another positive outcome, I think, would be not touching firearms at all, or maybe even seeing some legislation that would further our Second Amendment rights, I think.
You had some really good bills that were shot down just because we had to work on our feelings. Yeah. Instead of going based upon what is right, we're going to have to go based upon feelings. And what do you think about next session, or maybe even sticking it to them this session if they really want to do something?
We're going to bring a lot of it back next session, just because that's how I am. I'm a pragmatist, right? I'm very, very far to the right. I'm socially, fiscally, everything. I'm a conservative first, but I'm not going to go up to Nashville, and this is coming from a brand new freshman perspective. I'm not going to go up to Nashville and act like I'm God's gift to the Republican Party right off the bat, right? Because to get respect, you got to give respect, which is fine. I understand that. But I'm also a pragmatist, and I understand that things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. And unfortunately, when you have a good idea, there's several different things that can happen that you have to worry about in Nashville. The first thing is you have to worry about somebody taking your idea. That's the first thing right off the bat you have to worry about.
That's already happened to you, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've had it. Well, yeah. The second thing is you have to... Sometimes you have to work around the code to make sure things are applicable and they make sense, right? So I don't want to file a bill that's, let's just say we're going to, we're going to ban the color purple in Walmart or something, and then we go through the code and that actually changes 50 different pages in the TCA, and you're like, well, you don't want to have to go over here and change this and that and whatever. So I don't have anything against the color purple. I was a big Barney fan as a kid. Unfortunately, when you deal with some of these bills relating to firearms, you've got certain individuals in both the House and the Senate that don't feel like we feel. So you have to kind of work around them or work with them to get them there.
And we got Republicans that say,
correct.
Wait, it's just not Democrats.
I said this probably the last time I was on the radio, and people didn't like it, but I've been called a Nazi and everything else by the Democrats up there in Nashville so many times. I don't even count them anymore. I don't even talk to them. I just don't. I'm cordial to them, but I don't ask them for anything because obviously, you have to deal with when you lead off a conversation with name calling. Obviously, it's not going to go anywhere.
That's correct.
So that's another thing we have to work on too.
And you got 30 seconds.
And we got 30 seconds. Shout out to Striker
we will
Steakhouse.
give a big shout out to Strikers. I've enjoyed their food.
Oh my gosh,
it still smells good in here. We had stuffed mushrooms, shrimp.
No more tea.
And
Tea's gone.
tea was
gone.
wonderful. And we want to thank them for your program, and we want to thank their their servers and everybody works there. They're second to none.
Josh, Striker Steakhouse.
This is WDXE, W287AA, and W237FD Lawrenceburg. Broadcast services of Prospect Communications.
Check this out. This is the Rich Eisen Show.
When Odell takes the field, it will have been what?
Yeah, 500 plus days
since he's played a football game.
The Rich Eisen Show.
Ravens gave him $15 million, and the Giants are like, yeah, do we give Saquon Barkley $15 million a year? That's what they're thinking.
Today's guests: the Fire Pit Collective golf writer Alan Shipnut, NBC Sports Boston Patriots insider Tom Curran, from FX's Justified City Primeval, actor Timothy Oliphant. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Yes, we're back after a long weekend of so much fun on our sports television. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, watching us on Roku. We say hello to everybody out there. We're very excited to have you here on the Roku channel, free on all Roku devices, select Samsung Smart TVs, Amazon Fire TV, the Roku app, and the RokuChannel.com is how you can watch us every day, live between 12 and 3 Eastern Time. We say hello to those listening to us on terrestrial radio, Sirius XM Odyssey, our podcast as well. 844-204-RICH, number to dial here on this program. It is Open Championship Week, and so